Up to now in the industry, in the meetings industry, we've spent a lot of time talking about this issue of measuring the impact of meetings beyond tourism. But what we haven't done much of is talk to the associations themselves as to whether they would find it valuable. Now, what we found at a recent conference in Paris is that there are some amazingly strong examples of associations and meeting organizers who interrogate these beyond tourism measures almost to death. So they look at business created, they look at improvements to healthcare outcomes, they look at publications, they look at new business connections that have been created. But they're measuring it for the needs of the association itself, not for the needs of the destination or the meeting planner.
And when you get into many areas, and that would include medical and business development and technical, what they do directly impacts not only their own members and the benefits it generates for their members in participating, but also these broader societal benefits, whether it's practice improvement, knowledge transfer, academic advancement, any of the things that those subject areas and that subject content is delivering to delegates.
I was just running a round table, and two of the guys on our table were in industries and had conferences almost exactly the same as the two best case studies from the conference in Paris, who said, wow, if we can get hold of this sort of case study example, we can actually persuade our leaders to implement these measures. There are some good examples out there, whether it's European cardiology or oil and gas over in Calgary.
One of the objectives that we have is the ability to develop tools and models that are transferable to different sectors, different organizations, so they can easily decide what they think are the most important output benefits and interpret them into harder data that they can use for these broader purposes.
A lot of associations are measuring immediate outcomes. So they are actually looking at, was business done, were good connections made, etc., etc. But very few are following through longitudinally. So the examples that Lynn Lewis-Smith from Business Events Sydney was able to give in our session of how to identify after 18 months that the number of collaborative projects, the number of new practices being implemented shows a measurable increase between the end of the conference and that 18-month period, was really eye-opening to a lot of people.
When you survey directly after and then you survey 12 or 18 months after, the general benefits, two clear standouts, were on the global issues. They want a seat at the table and they want to work with you to further advance the industry, from 68 to 81%, and more research collaborations happened after the conference at 70%. In terms of personal benefits, you can read there, enhanced teaching, enhanced research, and again, specifically to research collaborations went from 46 to 62%. So I'm hoping to get some dialogue today, Martin, if we can get some feedback on, is this information of value to you?
After the delegates went away and said, yeah, it was a great conference, we learned a great deal. Now, many of them are thinking, well, maybe we should ask that question, well, you said you learned it, did you implement it? Did it actually result in the improvements to business practice or health outcomes or scientific practice, whatever it may be? And I think that there's a general lesson there for anybody in the meetings business. Start looking longitudinally.
If this kind of a conversation enables us to do that, we'll be hopefully able to help them measure their own inputs and outputs, and those outputs in turn can help us tell a better story about the value of the industry.
Sydney shines, day and night. A global city sparkling with optimism and ambition. Here, anything is possible. And it's possible to achieve almost anything. For your next business event, hold it in a place that is an event. Sydney shines.